everyone doing today? Today is Tuesday, April 29th, 2025, and I am so excited to be sharing with everyone my experience at the Detroit Filmmaker Awards this past Sunday on April 27th. So, if you are new here, please like and subscribe to my channel, and you won't regret it. So, let me tell you all about it. So, this whole month of April, I have been interviewing actors, actresses, writers, producers of film. And most of their movies are on Tubi. So, they are a lot of film industry people that movies and works and films are showcased on Tubi, and some are on different stations as well, like Prime Video or TVI. I think those are the initials, but there are some other ones too. But there are independent filmmakers, and a lot of them that I have been talking to reside in Detroit. And so, because this was a Detroit filmmaker awards venue, the people I was interviewing were from Detroit. And so I got to tell you that this was so exciting. I had not done anything like this before as far as covering a certain population like that. I just started my podcast in September of last year, and I have had on people from all walks of life, all diverse cultures and professions, talking about heart to heart inspiration and things of how they inspire people, or a story that was a trial or tribulation that turned into a triumph. And so I've had some amazing guests on, and they were the catalyst into moving me forward. And honestly, that was my whole thing. I wasn't looking to do, anything spectacular, but just touch lives. That's the only thing I wanted to do. And so I met a young lady named Renika McQueen through a Facebook chat, and a group rather, and she was promoting her movie, The Stranger in Our House. She was promoting her movie, and we got to talking. I looked at the series, it was a series, and I looked at it that night on a Friday night, and I was hooked. I looked at the entire season one, that night, and I wrote her back in that Facebook group, and I said, I loved it. Kudos to you. And I really want to have you on my podcast. And so she said, I would love to. And that really was how it all got started, with me being introduced into the Detroit film industry. I did not know anything about her or anything like that. I didn't even know anything about the Detroit film industry. So once I started doing more research, and I'm like, oh, I'm seeing so many movies with the Detroit fist, Detroit scenery, and there's this saying that everyone is saying on a lot of these movies, and it's "what up though." And when I first saw it, I was like, okay, what up though? All right, yeah. Didn't really knew what that meant. Like, I didn't know it was a Detroit saying. So just being in this group and learning more about Tubi, first of all, and learning more about the independent film industry and the artists and the creatives that are involved in that, I would say, just fell in love with the whole film industry, and especially the Detroit filmmaker industry. And so I had a guest on, Mr. Grover McCants. He was one of my first guests that I had on my podcast after being introduced into the film world. And he was so gracious. He was my guest. We talked film because he was in The Stranger in Our House. He is one of the characters in there, one of the main characters in The Stranger in Our House. And it was such a joy talking to him. And we talked about a lot of things: sports, Detroit versus Chicago Bulls, the Pistons versus the Bulls, and things like that. We're both great basketball fans. So we just had a natural connection, just like I had with Renika, and things just blew up from there. I saw more about what Detroit was doing, And eventually, one thing led to another, and I was selected and asked to be the official podcast host for the Detroit Filmmaker Awards venue. And I was so happy to do it. And as I learned more about it, I'm like, wow, they have a lot of events in Detroit. Like, what's going on? So I learned different things through all the guests that I had on. So I just want to take a moment to just say, thank you, Detroit, for welcoming me into your circle, into your creative space. I am so grateful for that. Now, with that being said, I do have family from Detroit and in Detroit, okay? And so I'm not a total stranger to Detroit, but it was a different side of Detroit than I am used to seeing. So I want to give a shout out, first of all, to my family that's there in Detroit. Thank you for all of your support, and also to the Detroit film industry family. So, this past Sunday, the 27th, was the Detroit Filmmaker Awards in Detroit, Michigan. And I also call it the Big D, right? Okay. The D, that's what it's called. And so I left. I traveled. I traveled to Detroit from Chicago. Me and some of my intermediate family, we traveled to Chicago and to Detroit rather. And I'm telling you, I'm so grateful because I was going to have to set up. I didn't know what to expect or anything like that. So I know that I had to have a banner. One of my cousins in Detroit told me they were not new to this industry, and they're like, you got to have a banner. You got to have something that with your name on. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So because my podcasts are traditionally done from home and in the comfort of my home and my home studio, I didn't have a lot of these things. But let me just backtrack a little bit. When I was asked to be the official podcast host, I'm like, I got to make some changes. And so this is why I'm saying that the name of this episode today is The Show Must Go On. Resilience is key. Why? Because I was, I wasn't expecting anything. I wasn't prepared, I would say, but I knew that when I was asked to take on this role, I'm like, I gotta do something different here. I want to be, make sure my streams are good and things like that. And so right before I was asked to be the host, all of a sudden my streams would all of a sudden just start going haywire. They would be rocky, they would be stopping, pausing. That was never happening before. And then all of a sudden it was happening. I'm like, you know what? The devil just don't want me to be nice. I mean, to be great, with this. And so I was able to get into a podcast studio, and I had a great engineer and producer that was helping me out with everything. So Matt, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your work and helping me. And so it's been a learning process, a journey for me, and I'm so proud of it because one of the guests stated it was Marcus Woods and also Jason Sims. Marcus Woods was nominated for Best Actor in a film, and he actually won that award on Sunday. And then Jason Sims is the president. And some of the things that they stated from their favorite quotes that they're living by is, you never miss the shots. You don't miss the shots you never take. Or you miss, okay, let me get my tongue tightness right out. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, right? And then also another one was, you don't want to live with regret, right? So fear of failure, you could deal with fear a little bit, but living with regret is another whole animal. So I just say that to say, if you're thinking about doing something, whether it's starting a podcast or whether it's singing a song, trying to start a business, or anything that you want to do, going out for a sport, trying a new hobby, you are not going to know what that experience is unless you try it. So I just want to put that out there first. And so that's what I did with the podcast last September. I just stepped out on faith. I wanted to touch lives, and I just let the gods lead me, as they say. The gods of life lead me. And so that's just what I did. And it landed me that opportunity. And I'm so, so grateful for all of the friendships, all of the acquaintances, and the opportunities that I received. And so checking in on Heart Nation, we got Jerry. Hey, Jerry, thank you. She says the banner is very nice. Richard says, you go, girl. Love your shows. Thank you, Richard. And if you're calling in or tuning in, feel free to put your name in the chat and where you're calling from. So with all of that being said, finally, thank you, Renika. I was just talking about Renika. You all heard me giving her her praise and how it's because of her that I even got into the film industry, quote unquote, and just learning more about Detroit, learning more about independent filmmaking, and just researching more and more and falling in love with the film industry and especially the Detroit filmmakers. They all are so brave. They're so courageous. They're creating these films. I don't know about you all, but on Tubi, that it's kind of like, oh, you watch a movie on Tubi, those not real actors. Those shows are this and that. There's so much negativity around it. But I gotta tell you, when I started watching these movies and the movie, my first movie, probably don't want to say my first movie, but I do have another friend, Mel Roberson. He stars in a movie called Tyrant. And so I watched that on Tubi. He was great. And I'm like, okay, all right, Mel. And then I met Renika and I saw her, The Stranger in Our House. And I watch Tubi all the time, guys. I'm not even watching Netflix like that or Prime Video. I am just glued to Tubi now, watching all of their great shows. And so I'm telling you now, if you haven't been watching Tubi, go ahead and watch it. You're not going to be disappointed. And so let me just run off a couple of films real quick. And these are the films that were nominated on Sunday and some of the big names that won. Renika being one of them. She had a clean sweep with The Stranger in Our House. Best actor, best director, best screenplay. She did her thing. But The Stranger in Our House, I'm telling you, hands down, you're gonna love it. And I want to talk about The Stranger in Our House too. And then also she has A Family Divided. That's another one of her movies. It is absolutely great. And then Cain and Abel. When Renika came on the podcast, she talked about her very first award from the Detroit Filmmaker Awards, and it was named Cain and Abel. So I watched that. Good movie. And I actually think one of my cousins is in that movie that lives in Detroit. So I have to reach out to him and see. But his name is Jamal. I believe he's in that movie. So I was watching, I'm like, was it that one? Was it that one or was it a different one? I'm getting all confused. But I gotta Jamal and the Detroit fam, if you all are listening, I gotta reach out to you all and see if Jamal was in one of those movies. Okay. And then there's another one that Renika has. Renika, feel free to put it in the chat if you like. And then I had on so many of these great creatives. Renika also has a brother in the film industry. He won the Lifetime Achievement Award. His name is Kamal Smith. And some of his movies that I watched, they were just all good as well. You Owe Me, if you want a little spice in your life. He has some of the spicy ones. And then we watched another one just recently, A Good Man. I think it's called A Good Man 1 and A Good Man 2. And he has some more as well. So what you can do on Tubi, you can also search by people's names on there as well. And so then you will see there are some of their shows, their films will come up. So there's so many great creatives out of Detroit. And what I learned from covering the Detroit film is that they have like one of the largest collectives of independent filmmakers there. And so you may see the words indie, INDIE, that stands for independent film. So they have one of the largest collectives. Even here in Chicago, I got to tell you, I haven't heard about a lot of things going on in Chicago, but I am a newbie to this craft. So I'm still learning myself. And there may be. So I know I will have a Chicago writer and actor on next week. His name is Elliot. And so I'm going to try to see if I can learn more about what's happening in the Chicago space as well. But I am learning more about Detroit, and I'm so happy that I am, because I'm just blown away by all of their creativity. So a lot of heavy winners on Sunday. Who else did we have? We also had Marcus Woods on. He won Best Lead Actor in a Film, and that is from Depart From It, and that's good. I still have when they were on, we had all of the trailers. So what I was doing was pulling up the trailers and wanting to just talk about them a little bit. And I want your involvement. I want your feedback as well. And so then just so many people that we've had on. And so he won that award. Renika says, yes, he is a great actor. And he gave some great nuggets. He also stated that he was in another film, Hollywood film before. And I can't think of the name of what it was. But he's been out there. And so he's also excited about the film industry as well in Detroit that's going on. And we also had Ken Gregory, the actor for Huey. He produced and acted in Huey. We're going to play that trailer. Oh, and he had a sweep of that too for those awards. We had King's Betrayal. We had Jonathan C. Williams on the podcast. He also won an award last night. Just awesome. And I got to tell you, everyone that I have met from Detroit onto the podcast, they have been just great people to talk to, and just phenomenal. So I'm just thankful, for being able to meet them. And 10 Toes Down also took a sweep. That was from Tanja Ayers, and she was on the show as well. She got a lot of accolades. She has some great movies too. And her and Janaea Black, they write and help each other out. So I may get some of their movies not all the way right, but they're still correlated. So you got 10 Toes Down, Swallow. There's another one. So I can't think of it off the top of my head, but Mirror of Deception was also it also received an award. That's another good one. And then Shantae Delon from Depart From It. She was on, her and Velda Hunter. Both were on, and they were just phenomenal. And so they also, Marcus Woods won that from their movie Depart From It for the Best Lead Actor. So it's just been a lot going on. And so I could not meet with everyone at the awards. I really tried to work the room a little bit, tried to get pictures and all of that, and tried to speak to everyone after the awards. But something happened during the awards. And this is why I said resilience is key. And the show must go on because things happen. I already talked to you about how, I promise you, if you all have been following me from the start of this month with the different actors and people on, I tell you the truth. It must have been one scene every time that either the trailers glitched or either there was some kind of funky stream going on. It was always something. But I'm telling you, prior to that, things were working good, and I even did a dance video on one of them, not a pause anywhere in that video. But all of a sudden, everything was just happening. If you all know what I'm talking about, put a yes in the chat. If things happen sometimes and you're just like, what is happening? Put a yes in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. And so I'm like, I really want everything to be perfect. But the heart of the matter is everything is not going to be perfect. So what are you going to do when things are not always perfect or they don't go as planned? You have to keep going. The show must go on. So during those times where the trailer glitched, me and the producer, we would say, what can we do differently next time? We tried a bunch of things. I recorded every trailer separately. We tried to do that. It still glitched. It was just craziness, but we still did it. Sometimes I just, after the podcast, I would just be like, I don't know what's happening. You feel like embarrassed. You feel like, are people going to talk about me? Are they going to look at me funny or crazy because this is happening to me? And I got to tell you all, my mother just is she always would say, it happens to everybody. It happens, and I would just say, oh, mom, you're just saying that because I'm your baby, but she would just really keep encouraging me not to give up. You have to be resilient. And a lot of the actors who came on, that's what they would say. They would say, you're going to get 100 no's before you get one yes. And so I just kept thinking about that. I got to keep going. I got to keep going, and so that's how they have inspired me, and my family and friends on here on this chat who always join. I just thank you so much. You encourage me so much, and I appreciate you all. And so just saying, the show has to go on no matter what. So you got to keep being great or trying to be great. And so at the awards, everything's going good. They're announcing the winners, and all of a sudden, the fire alarm comes on, and it's just ringing, beep, beep. And I mean, it's so loud. It is so freaking loud. You can't hear anything. We thought we were going to have to evacuate the building, but ironically, I had just had a brief interview with the fire chief. He's also running for an office, and I had just talked with him minutes earlier before I had went to talk with the people who are winning their awards. And I'm like, oh my goodness, the fire chief is here. We're going to have to evacuate the building and everything. But he was able to get the intel, and it's like, it's not here. But the thing is that it kept beeping. It wouldn't stop. I guess there's like a certain protocol, and they had to wait a certain amount of time, or I don't know, clear things up. But it kept on for at least a good 10 minutes. It may have been longer than that, but I know it was at least 10 minutes probably. And it just kept going on. So finally, so we're trying to get interviews over this loud noise. We're trying to talk. And so finally, the founder of the DFA, the Detroit Filmmaker Awards, Darren Brown, he comes back to the mic and he says, we're just going to keep going. We're going to keep on with the show. The show must go on because this fire alarm, it may take hours to go off. I was like, oh, please don't let it be hours. I don't think my ears or my head can take it. But, he said, we got to go on. And so right up there on the stage, through all the loud noise, through the commotion, the show went on. He kept it moving. And I was like, wow, these are lessons to learn and to motivate you throughout things that are going on in your life. Don't let the things stop you. So in the chat, excuse me, Jerry says, yes, but you keep rolling along. Yes. Rich says, yes, but you never looked back. That is true. And Dora says, we learned how to make lemonade out of lemons. Keep pushing. Yes. And Tiffany says, I've always learned more from my mistakes than I ever did from my wins. And Rosalind, hey, sissy. She says, great talk. Thank you for sharing your lessons learned and grateful experiences with us. Be good, do good. It's going to be all good. I like that. I love that. I love that. And so I appreciate all of that because it's life. Things happen and we got to keep rolling. We got to keep pushing. It's hard. We may cry along the way, and I mean, some bad things can happen, right? Bad things do happen in life. And, we just have to find a way to muster up that strength to keep going. So the fire alarm kept going on. He kept it moving. And one of the things that was supposed to happen at the awards show also, because I was the podcast host, I had a special area where I was to interview people. And all of that was going good until the fire alarm came. And then the elevator went out. And so now it's harder for people to get up the stairs. But some of the people, they still came. And so I'm appreciative of them for doing that. They walked up the stairs and they even got on the mic and said, oh, going up those stairs to see Carla is really something. But they did. They gave it the effort, so I'm appreciative of that. So the show went on anyway. It was a great time. I learned a lot. And so what I want to do right now, I'm going to play one of these trailers. And this is Huey. This is about the Black Panther movie, Huey, a movement. And I can't even talk. Huey was the founder of the Black Panther movement. And so Ken Gregory portrayed this as a short film, and he swept the awards last night for this film for this category. And let's just talk about it for a minute, because this is how a lot of our greats things happen to them, right? They're great. They're in front of the screen, things are going well, but then something comes back later and say, oh, they were a drug addict. They didn't really do nothing. What do you all think about that? So let's see real quick. Let me see if I can do it, because I am not with my producer, my engineer today. I'm on my own. And so I'm going to see if I can remember all of the lessons that he taught me. Let's see. Here we go.
We can't afford no loose ends.
Nope, that's not it. Wait a minute. Hold on. That's not it. Oh, let me see. Okay. Let me see. This is the one I want right here. Okay. Here we go.
Just be yourself. Do like you always do. Choose your words carefully.
Dr. Newton, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm a big fan of your work and your civic champion efforts.
I'm Patricia. This is Frank. Once Stephen told us that you were willing to do an interview, we have been extremely excited ever since.
You co-founded the Black Panther Party in the late 1960s, and with it came the Black Power movement. 20 plus years later, do you think the Black community is now better or worse at reaching its goals of progress towards equality?
Malcolm X said it best. He said, "I'll never say that progress is being made if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull out 6. That's not progress."
We got this copy from an assistant working at Partel's editing office.
Newton has to be stopped.
You have an obsession with him.
It's not an obsession.
What do you call it then?
Assurance.
Of what? That the guy likes to take a puff here and there? Let me tell you something. The only assurance we have is that the guy's a crack addict.
He's more than that.
I need that shit quick though. Because word is, everybody's moving on this one. Hike and rank for the first one who tags him.
I bet.
So what needs to happen?
Blacks need to continue fighting the government's injustice and violence against them.
Newton cannot be allowed to gain any resurgence in popularity of any kind that could potentially put him back in the limelight.
The party is just as important today as it was 20 years ago, and will be 20 years into the future. But I've had my time leading it. It's time for the next generation to make their way.
All right. That was good. I love that film. To me, it looks like a Hollywood film. I think he's going to do very well. He's gotten so many accolades with that film that he's done. I think he's going to go very far with it. But let's talk about it for a minute, okay? Let's talk about it for a second. And if you're in the audience and you want to come on stage, let me know and I'll see if I can bring you up to the stage and you'll be on camera. But do you all think, first of all, have y'all heard of Huey Newton? Have y'all heard of him? Put some yeses, no's in the chats if you've heard of him. And have you heard of good things about him, bad things about him? And do you think that his work was diminished by, using the drugs? Do you think that diminished his work that he did? Jerry says, yes, she heard of him. Good or bad? Let me know what you all thinking. And playing Huey was Ken Gregory. I don't know about you all, but he did phenomenal with that role. Could you even tell it was an independent filmmaker who made that? I know I got a lot of questions going on, so just jump in. Put all your thoughts in the chat. Did you really think it was an independent filmmaker who made that, or did you think this was like a Hollywood film? And we say it like that because, of course, they got all the resources, all of the equipment and everything like that to just make things look whoa, pop. But to me, it looks like a Hollywood film that is going to go far. But what do you all think? And I'm asking that because the work that he did, to me, and I'm just speaking from watching this film and watching countless other films about Huey, that his work was not diminished because of the drugs. He succumbed, to that. And a lot of people have done that, right? Because you use drugs and you succumb to that, does it make you a bad person? Sometimes it might, depending on what you're doing. But sometimes you just have a problem and you need help. So I don't know. Today, there's a big thing in the world about drug use. And I think it's so important that Ken Gregory, the actor in this film and producer, that he brought it to light, because so many people are getting hooked on drugs. You have back pain, car accident, or whatever it may be. And these drugs have addictive qualities in them. And so you start using them, and then next thing you know, you're addicted. Does that diminish everything that you've done, from being a good mother, a good father, the things that you've done in the past? So that's what I wanted us to think about today, and how can we make sure that the show still goes on? How can we help, if it's someone in our family or if it's ourselves? How can we keep moving or encourage others, to keep the show going? So put your thoughts in the chat for that. And then we are going to show one down. Huey was pretty heavy, so I'm going to go with a different trailer now. That was a pretty heavy one. So let's do, this is another fun one. Let's do 10 Toes Down. And
be careful. I got it. All right. See ya.
Hold on. Oh, okay. Richard says, can you update your viewers each week on these great movies that Tubi have? I sure can. I sure will. And I'm also thinking about starting a private Facebook chat group on the movies and really diving into them and talking about them. And maybe we can get some of the actors, actresses on to really give us some more deeper insight. And that'll be like a subscription based type of deal we do. But I'm still thinking about it. So let me know about what you think about that, Richard.
Wait, I didn't catch your name. I'm James.
Kyra.
Nice to meet you, Kyra.
Same.
I got you. Good night.
You are perfect.
This was her,
So are
this
you.
is her husband.
I love you.
I love you too.
It wasn't a wife.
I don't want you to think I'm a creep, but
Oh God.
ever since I saw you at the coffee shop, I've been thinking about you nonstop.
Okay, so speaking of that, how was it?
How was what?
I don't know, sleeping with another man?
Oh!
What y'all think about that?
You not leaving. I don't care how many pictures you got. You not leaving.
Are you insane? You're married too, James. Do you remember that? So can't the same be said for you?
No, because my wife knows better. My wife wouldn't dare be disloyal to me and let another man into our house.
Uh-oh.
Do you trust me, yes or no?
do I love you. And if you continue to stand by this clown, I'm walking away.
You gonna have to do what you gotta do, Sean. Cause I love him. And I'm standing 10 toes down behind my man.
Okay, y'all, we got to get into it. I see some comments in the chat. Travis Grant, hey, Big Trav. For you all that don't know, Trav is in Detroit, and he is one of the podcasters there. Trav, I don't know if you call yourself a podcaster, but Trav has a great channel. He covers a lot of the Detroit information, fashion shows, premieres. He has a great show, so look him up on Facebook and Instagram as well. He does some great interviews. And Siobhan Register, and it was good meeting you, Travis. I met him in person at the Detroit Filmmaker Awards. And Siobhan says, I appreciate this topic, cousin, and hopefully maybe one day you could get more in depth about the epidemic, specifically the opioid epidemic. Yes, it's so much to talk about with that. And Rich says, I love this movie. Keep showing more, please. So, okay, y'all, 10 toes down, like I told you before. Tanja Ayers, she took home a lot of wins for this, and we had her on the podcast before. What do y'all think about that? So first of all, you got to watch it because we got to dive into it. You know, you first see her with her husband. Oh, I love you, you know, and then the next thing you know, she's asking her best friend, how was it sleeping with another man? Okay. And then next thing you know, she in prison. Child, what happened? What happened? So Tanja did share with us there is a part 2 coming out. But I just wanted to talk about this because it's infidelity, right? And infidelity can tear marriages apart and relationships and families apart. But the thing that also stands out to me that we don't talk about a lot is not only can it tear up the families and things like that, but there are a lot of diseases out there too that happen and go on. But and you do some crazy stuff. You got to watch it because there's a part in there. Don't you want to know why she went to prison? Why she went to prison is crazy. The reason why is crazy. And, you know, she said she was standing 10 toes down with her man, her lover. Okay, that's not her husband. That was her lover. So what do y'all think about that? You know, infidelity, or if your friend asked you, how was it sleeping with another man and you knew and you had cheated before, just hypothetical, what would you say to them? What would you say? Would you think something crazy about them asking you that? Like, why are you asking me that? Because our friends, sometimes they be trying to get a little information, but if you're a real friend, you have to just tell them, no, sis, that you don't want to do that. So I enjoyed that part. Okay, so we just talked a little bit about that, and I wanted to play one more, but I think we're over time. Oh yeah, we're already over our time. So I want to know, did you all like this? Did you enjoy this? If is there something else you want me to show? Rich has already given his opinion. He wants me to provide updates every week on these great movies that Tubi have, and then he wants me to keep showing more. What do you all want? You all want more? I am still going to have on more actors, actresses, producers. I'm still going to have them on doing interviews. I do have someone from Detroit, from Chicago, I'm sorry, from Chicago coming on. And let me see if I can get his information real quick, and I'll tell you more about him. So I want to just keep showcasing the independent film industry and their talent. So I like doing that, and we can dive more into it. And we'll have some more on next week. So queued up for next week, we'll have The Stranger in Our House by Renika McQueen, and season 2 is coming for that. So make sure you watch season 1 because you're not going to stop. It's nonstop action. It's so good. Okay. And what I want to talk about from that is How many of mothers would be doing the same thing? So I don't want to give it away, but check it out. And how many of us mothers would be doing the same thing for our child? Okay. And then I'm going to play DACA, the DACA trailer. That's from Mauricio Dominguez. And that he swept in his category. That was great. And then Depart From It. That's another good one. Marcus Woods won that. So we're going to talk about those next week or the week after. We'll get it all in there in between some of the other interviews that I have coming up. Rosalind says it's always interesting on up and coming artists, but I still like to hear about other inspiring personal stories. Yes, I do too, Rosalind. And I like what I liked about the artists that we have on is that they share their personal stories too on what got them here, what they went through. And I want to dive some more into that. During the DFA awards, we really talked about the upcoming awards and what that's doing for Detroit. But for each one of them, I want to go a little deeper. I want to go a little deeper into what they had to do to get to this spot, because it wasn't easy. They said it takes 100 no's before you get one yes. And you can go bankrupt with some of this stuff trying to do it, right? You lose friends, you lose different family members along the way. Things happen, right? Siobhan says, I definitely want to know when these movies are available on Tubi. I'm not clear, but I think a lot of them are not viewable yet. I've been looking. Can you help me out? Yes, I can. I absolutely can. I'll tell you which ones are on Tubi. Right now, the Stranger in Our House is on Tubi because you're right, Siobhan. Sometimes Tubi will rotate some out, and when you're looking for it, it won't be there. But yes, they are. A lot of them are on Tubi. So I'm going to put some in here, and feel free, please do, so we can talk about them. And I still, like Rosalind said, want to still talk about some personal, inspiring stories just from everyday, people that come on. One of the stories that resonated with me, who I had on before, was Wansetta Smith. She lost her husband during COVID, from COVID, and he was healthy, didn't have any high blood pressure, anything like that, nothing that they said. And just how this has been an emotional roller coaster for her. We had on before Zuma, her breast cancer survivor story. So yes, I totally agree. Joe was on. He is a comedian. He had a career as a comedian, and then he stopped, and now he's resurrecting it again. So he shared his journey, and he's back into comedy. So different stories from everyday people. I definitely love to showcase, and we'll get more of them on as well. So just keep on watching, and we'll be sure to get everybody something that they love, because I want you to keep coming back. I want you to subscribe and follow and tell your friends too. Okay. So I'm going to put these movies in here, and I thank you, Heart Nation. That heart wasn't good. Heart Nation. And if you check out the intro song, that is my daughter singing. She did the cover for the podcast. I think she did an amazing job. Thanks, Doris, for your encouragement. So you all take a listen, okay? And I'll just keep playing it as we are closing up because I just love it so much. I just love the song. So Heart Nation, we'll see you next week. And I'm going to put those songs in here. Thank you. Take care. Take care of one another. Good night.
you